Question. Your friend calls you crying. You know she's had a rough week. You know she made a mistake at work, and she's just feeling like an utter failure. What do you do with that? Would you be the friend that says, listen, Karen, you messed up. You screwed it all up, dropped the ball. You need to get it together. I don't think you'd do that. So, why is it we let that inner voice, who is a ruthless mean girl, by the way, let her run the show? I'm Melissa, and this is More Than Fine. Welcome. Today, we're going to talk about self-compassion, what it is exactly, what you can do to be kinder to yourself, and hopefully some resources that you can take advantage of. So let's start with what compassion actually is. So compassion is the concern you have for others' well-being, including the awareness of their distress with your desire to want to help them. You have to have both those components, okay? So then compassion resilience goes along with that, and that is maintaining your own well-being while you're helping the other person with their distress. So that can be summed up in you need to fill your own cup first before you can help someone else. Compassion, resilience. So then self-compassion is the kindness and understanding you have towards yourself when you're confronted with personal failings instead of judging or criticizing yourself. Because really, who says that you're supposed to be perfect? I sure don't. And I'm pretty not perfect. Lots of people tell you that. So, instead of just ignoring the pain, though, with having that stiff upper lip, you would stop and tell yourself something like, this is really difficult right now. I'm struggling. How can I comfort and care for myself in this moment? That's always the question. So in the show notes this week, there'll be a link for, it's an assessment basically, called the Self-Compassion Scale. And I challenge you to fill it out to see how compassionate you are towards yourself. And I challenge you because I think a lot of us think that we are compassionate with ourselves and give ourselves a pass on some things, which we might, but I also think we're not nearly as compassionate to ourselves as we think we are. And that's what that scale should tell you, is how compassionate you are. So let's go through the three elements of self-compassion. So the first one is self-kindness versus self-judgment, okay? So a self-compassionate person tends to be more gentle with themselves when they're confronted with painful experiences. They recognize that we don't always get what we want, and recognize that when that happens, our suffering increases, and usually it's in some form of stress, frustration, or self-criticism, which is where the self-judgment comes in, right? So the situation that comes to mind for me to share with you would be like some sort of ending of a relationship, okay? So it can be a friendship, romantic, marriage, parent-child, any kind of relationship, right? And especially if it's unexpected, most of the time, that can be very stressful for both parties, okay? It can lead to a lot of frustration because there might be some arguing about it, or I don't want to say arguing, but arguing about it or discussion about what's happening. And then later down the road, it might come out as, you know, well, what did I do wrong? Or why am I not good enough? Or why does this always happen to me? What's wrong with me? And I think we all know that those last self criticism phrases are never helpful um, in moving forward from something. So that's where the kindness would come in rather than being judgmental with yourself, okay? The second one is common humanity versus isolation. So when you're frustrated and not getting exactly what you want, it can lead to the irrational but pervasive, which means long standing, long occurring over time sense of isolation. It's the pervasive is the part that wins out, okay? Um, so self-compassion recognizes that the suffering and personal inadequacy, as you would call it, where you're the what's wrong with me, is part of the shared human experience, and we all have to go through tough things. So we all have this experience at some point in our lives. Hopefully not very often, because it can be quite painful. And so just to recognize that you're not alone, and while isolating might be okay for a while, it's really not the best to do over a long period of time, okay? So then the third element of self-compassion is mindfulness versus over-identification. Okay, so self-compassion requires you to take a balanced approach to the negative emotions so that your feelings aren't suppressed, but then they're also not exaggerated, right? So I think a lot of us as adults have learned it's not okay or not good for us to suppress our emotions and just ignore they exist and go on our way whistling while we work, like the dwarves and in Snow White. And it just, the whistling while you work song came to mind from that movie. And, sorry, allergies. So you don't want to suppress it and just pretend like everything's okay. But you also don't want to exaggerate your negative emotions, which basically would be being a drama queen. Now, I love a good drama queen moment as much as the next person. And I'm going to tell you it's okay to an extent. It becomes harmful when that's all you do. You just keep the drama rolling and never move on from it and are very dramatic about everything that has happened, okay? So that's where you need the balance. We don't want to completely ignore it and act like nothing's wrong, because that will come up to bite you down the road. And we don't want to be that girl, that drama queen, that boy, that drama queen. And we want to be right in the middle, or as close to the middle as we can get. Because again, no one's perfect, so give yourself a little grace with it, right? So you need to be willing to look at your negative thoughts and emotions um, with openness and clarity. So basically, having some real talk with yourself, um, but without judging yourself. So that's what it means with the clarity. So being really truthful with yourself about, you know, I'm not okay. That really hurt. I don't feel like right now I'm ever going to be okay. That would be the drama queen moment. Um, but I will get through this, and here's some things I'm going to do to work on this, to move forward while still allowing myself to have these feelings, but deal with them in a not harmful way to myself and not judging myself if I go backwards with them, right? Because life is a journey, it's never a straight road. There's twists and turns, there's ups and downs. Um, so, and no one's perfect. And that's okay. It's okay if you took a U turn, as long as you take a U turn again to head back forward where you were headed. Grace. Give yourself grace. So, this isn't self pity, it's not self indulgence, and it's also not self esteem. It's about giving yourself that grace for making a mistake. Okay? Because I'm going to say it again, no one's perfect. Everyone makes mistakes, and it's okay. It's what you do with the after that you need to be concerned about. Because whatever has happened in that mistake has already happened. You can't go back and change it. We all wish we could change something um, that we've maybe done in the past, but it's done. All we can do is make the changes going forward to hopefully not make the same mistake again. And that's where that grace comes in. So it's okay that I made that mistake, but I need to learn from that mistake. And if this situation would happen again in the future, what am I going to do that's going to be different, that hopefully will not end with any sort of negative or hurt or anything like that? Okay? So, what's something that maybe we can do? Well, one thing, jump on the bandwagon, okay, is doing gratitude. Gratitude is an amazing thing. They are finding in research, and um, it helps with that self-compassion. I think it um, shows you good things, and it helps to outweigh the bad things, hopefully. So it's good for your mental health, right? It actually gives you more energy to do things. And so I challenge you. This will be the challenge to do, okay? I realize it's May, the year is almost half over. Amazing. Um, I don't know how that's happened already. But I'll challenge you for the rest of the year with this practice, okay? So it turns out they have found that our brains are wired to focus on the negative. Surprise. So that happens because it's a survival strategy that we were wired for way back when we were being chased by animals and didn't have the protection, you know, of for walls, hard walls that keeps the elements out, things like that. Um, and so we don't, we no longer have, for the most part, the um, outlet, I guess, for the negative um, in the means of a survival strategy to keep us okay. Um, and so they just kind of sit in our brain and wreak havoc. And so that's where this practicing gratitude comes in because we need to adapt. So, what can we do to practice gratitude? Well, we're going to do the 3 good things practice, okay? So, it's going to help rewire your brain to notice the good in your life. And I challenge you to start. You can even start right now while I'm telling you how to do it. But hopefully, you'll wait till you're done watching. Um, so, you think of 3 good things that you're grateful for and the role that you had in them. Okay? So off the bat, first one, every day, grateful for my kids every single day. Um, there's 2 of them, but I'll only count them as one good thing item for this. Um, they probably don't want to be heard that I treat them as one. Um, and the role that I had in that, right? So the mama brought them into this world and didn't take them out. I got them to adulthood, and now my job is done. Not really, but I like to tell them that. But yeah, I got them to adulthood. It's kind of crazy. So I'm very grateful for them. And I'm also, number 2, grateful that they like to spend time with their mom and do things with their mom and make her do crazy things, which hopefully keeps me a little bit young. But we'll see. Second thing is my pets, always my dogs. They're never sad to see me, which makes me feel great. And, you know, I found them to come live with me. So that's the role I had because, you know, they were meant to be here with me. And number 3 is I am happy that I do have a place to stay and live. And that yesterday I had the means to have the heat on, and today I have the means to have the air conditioning on. Welcome to the upper Midwest in spring. So those are my 3 things, okay? So research has also shown that writing them down has a longer positive effect. So set the time aside every day to write your 3 things down, and you need to actually write them. Good old school pen and paper, pencil and paper, crayon, marker, whatever else you have to write with, and write it down. Now, one thing I have, and this is my challenge to you, is I have what's called a blessings jar. And it's just a ceramic jar. It says blessings on the side. I think my mom gave it to me. I think she gave it to all of us kids one year to try and make us more grateful, I think. You know, with a lid on it, right? And right beside it are little slips of paper and a pen, and I keep them right there. And I try to, and I'm not perfect, so it doesn't always happen, but I try to, before I go to bed each day, write down one thing on each slip of paper and then put it in my jar. And so the last couple of years, at the end of the year, um, sometime on New Year's Eve, day, night, whatever, um, we dump them all out of the jar and go through them one by one and read what all happened. And it's a really great exercise to do because it brings back all the good memories from the year. Um, if you were feeling like you didn't accomplish anything in the year, or that it was a hard year, which maybe it was a hard year, but maybe there were more good things than you thought. And so it can help you relive all that gratitude over again and show you that you can get through hard things and do hard things, but you also have a lot of things to be grateful for, and that can help you with your self-compassion, to have that grateful attitude and heart. So that's my challenge to you. I hope you take it up. I hope that at some point if you do decide to do that, you let me know how it goes. And if you actually go ahead and do at the end of the year, um, go through and read them all with your family, with yourself, with the dogs. um, and then let me know. Let me know how that went for you. I'd be really excited to hear about that. Okay. So then, before we go, real quick. So from here on out, instead of saying, "I can't believe I did that. Why do I always do that? I'm like the worst human ever." Um, Try saying to yourself, "It's okay. That was tough. What do I need right now?" And then figure that out. Okay. So one of those things is a complete spiral and beatdown. The other thing is a strategy. And I know all of you that are listening to this are too smart to let yourself be beat down. So pick the strategy. Be the friend that you'd want to have, and start being that friend to yourself. So if you would like the links to the self-compassion scale and a link to the Self-Compassion Institute website will be in the show notes. You can follow it to both if you want to dig deeper into this or get other ideas of activities you can do. You also can reach out, go to my website. If you want to start having more self-compassion, but you don't really know like when or where or how to start, reach out to me. I would be happy to meet with you, do some life coaching, hopefully, if it fits. But either way, talk with you, and maybe get you headed in a good direction. But I hope that we would be able to keep that going for a while. It's a practice, right? So you have to practice it like anything else. And life is life. Things come up that you're like, "Oh crap, what do I do with that?" Well, you know what you do? You call Alyssa. So, if this episode resonated with you, please go ahead and share it with someone who could use some permission to be kinder to themselves. And I'm guessing you probably already know who that person could be. I also want to take a moment to say thank you and give some gratitude for you guys stopping, watching the episodes, hanging out, um, subscribing, passing it on to friends, any of that, following the YouTube channel or the Facebook page, any of that stuff. I appreciate that, and I look forward to keeping on with this. If you guys have any ideas for episodes that maybe you want to have or want to know more about, please reach out. You can, message me on my website, Facebook, YouTube, and I will definitely take it into consideration and let you know. And who knows, maybe you'd get to be a guest on an episode if it's your idea and we need to work together to figure it out. So until next time, just remember you're doing more than fine.